Okay. Welcome back to the what is this? I don't even remember what episode number this is. This is episode 4 of the Getting High podcast. Today, obviously I'm your host, Andy, aka High. I'm joined by two very artistic, very talented individuals. Please introduce yourself, guys.
All right, I'm Rachel. I'm known by Scribbles with Rachel on like YouTube for like art channel videos and stuff like that. And I've been doing it for like 4 years and probably drawing for like 6 or 7 years.
I'm Noah. I just drew a lot as a kid, and I still do, and I post some of it on the internet sometimes.
Just sometimes.
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say what I post on the internet.
Oh, well, yeah. Let's think about that real quick.
I post art on the internet sometimes.
Yeah, okay. I think I think that's a good assessment of what what that
We'll call
is.
it that.
Well, I'm definitely going to give you the moniker of art though. It definitely is art. You definitely worked
Yeah.
hard on it.
Yeah.
But boy is that art. Yeah. Yeah. So we've all known each other from Overwatch cuz I coached your guys' team. So, and it's kind of similar to the first episode with Chris and Matt, where like we've all kind of known each other since like fall of last year. So it hasn't really been that long. But I think of you guys as some really good friends. So I definitely wanted to get you on here as soon as possible. That being said, even in this short amount of time, we've had some good stories. So if we want to go over stories real quick, we can now. If you guys have anything that sticks out,
The one that I can think of off the top of my head. Do we want to tell the wall sit story?
Oh, that
Yeah.
sucked. That sucked. Was that Noah who made us do that?
No. I think that was like Ashton. I think that was Ashton.
Okay,
I would never
I
make
don't know.
some exercise.
that's a good point. You know what? That's a fair and good point.
we were at this get together and we were playing like a game, and like someone had to tell other two people, like random individuals, to like do something, and it was me and it was Andy, and the prompt, I guess, was to basically wall sit against each other until like the next round comes. And for reference, Andy is a swimmer, so or was a swimmer, so he's a little on the skinnier side.
Yeah.
Wait.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I am a power lifter, so I'm a little on the opposite side. And I'm also like a foot smaller than Andy. So you can just kind of imagine how that went. And Andy was in severe pain and I was just sweating a lot. And that's kind of the end of the story.
That hurts so, and we also had to be handcuffed together, I think at the
Yep.
same time. And then you
Yep.
also had to hug Kaiser while we were handcuffed. that game was just
That was hell.
that was a very difficult game. I did not particularly enjoy that one. Except for when Ryan at the end of the night when we were going to go get food handcuffed himself while we were going to go get food.
That was very funny.
That
and then
was
you lied
good.
about not having
Oh
the key,
yeah, that
right?
was good. No,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Noah had the key the
I
entire time.
handcuffed. I handcuffed Ryan, and I just said, "Yeah, I lost the key. I don't know where it is." And he started freaking out. He was like, "What?" He's like, "You're kidding." I was like, No. I have no idea where it was." And the entire time it was just sitting in my pocket. And so I just made him walk around in public with the handcuffs on. And
Oh
it
yeah,
was
that was
amazing.
funny because he just double cuffed his one wrist.
Yeah, it looked like he had a very strange kink going around. He got a lot of looks, and I was enjoying all of it.
I did not feel bad for him whatsoever for that. That was really funny.
It was amazing.
Any other stories that we want to go over? Because I know I have a good one of meeting Noah.
Mine is about meeting you too. So you can tell yours first, and I'll go. I guess.
Okay, so I walk in to his apartment. Him and Chris were actually rooming together. So like I walk into the apartment and I'd already like met Chris in person. I talked to Noah online a little bit in Discord. So it was just like, like I knew the voice. And so I walk in, I'm sitting around. Matt eventually gets there and we're hanging out. And then Noah just comes out of his room and just T-poses. And he
Right,
just
that's
he
what's up.
stares into my soul and goes, "Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach." And I'm just like, "What? What is happening?"
This was before I joined like the Overwatch team.
Yeah.
Because like the joke was, oh, I want to join the Overwatch team.
Yeah.
But it was like at that point it was like still kind of a joke. And then my story kind of piggybacks off that because like I said, put me in, coach, and that was pretty much the only thing I said to you the entire like 2 hours you were in our apartment because I had no idea what I was like. I don't know this guy. I don't know what to say. I don't know anything about him. All I know is that he coaches Overwatch. And it got to a point where Chris was like, "Noah, stop saying that." I was like, I don't know what else to say.
I'm panicking.
Is the funny thing about that is that like how like later I ended up actually joining the Overwatch team is that's how I end up like joining like over half the things that I do is because it starts out as a joke and then it just turns into that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, you definitely asserted dominance that night because I had no idea what to say or what to do. I was just lost. I was like, how do I respond to this? Because he's not on the team, and as far as I've known and talked to him, he's just been memeing about about joining the Overwatch team. So I'm just like, I guess I'm just gonna let him go. Like I gotta just let him keep doing his thing.
It was and then I turned into the best silver support you ever had.
Oh yeah, true. These are facts. These are absolute facts. Best silver support this side of the Mississippi. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, amazing. Tore it up.
Yeah. That was just. Yeah, that was a night. That was a night to remember.
I don't remember it.
There were a lot of things that happened that night that were like that I don't think you were 100% a part of, but we can go over that at another point.
Oh yeah, because at that time I was still mostly playing on the league team, so I kind of like spent most of my time chilling with them.
Yeah. And not leaving your bedroom.
Yeah, so not leaving my bedroom.
Yeah.
Why would I ever leave my bedroom? My computer's there.
True.
Good point. So we obviously have a lot more stories that that we can talk about at a later date, or we might talk about on the Max Efficiency podcast on the Dude Mode channel. But I really want to get into the art stuff with you guys because I think you guys know this, but when it comes to art, I am extremely inept. Like unbelievably like terrible at art. I've tried. I've actually like put in time to actually like get better, and it just didn't happen. And so I wanna hear what got you guys into art to start. Like I wanna walk through the story of you guys in art. So
Okay.
What got you into it?
This is a funny story, and I actually just told this for the first time like 2 days ago to Kaiser, and it's embarrassing, but also it's true. So when I was a wee child, probably like 12 or 13, something like that.
Wait, that's not a wee child. That's like a preteen.
Okay.
Wait, what?
When I was a little preteen, okay.
Oh, don't say the word preteen. I don't like it.
When
When
I
you
was
were
a
a kid.
disgusting middle schooler. They were gonna.
Okay.
Wait, is that middle school? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. I had this Minecraft fan account on Instagram. It used to be a thing where like you literally just posted like Minecraft related images, and like that's how you got followers for some reason. Like it's just like a Minecraft fan. I don't know. It's embarrassing. But
Okay.
this like group of like artists that all had like kind of Minecraft inspired art styles like followed me, and they were kind of like a clique. And then I got like really obsessed with their art, and then eventually I just like started doing the same exact thing. And then what used to be like the way to gain followers back then was like people would repost one of your images to a certain hashtag, and then you could like draw them in your art style for free, and then just like post it on your account. Like you just do that over and over, and then people followed you. So that's how I started art, was by having a Minecraft fan account and copying other people's art styles.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know. No, what got you into art?
So big titty anime girl. Oh.
I'm leaving that in. I'm definitely leaving that in.
I mean, it's true, but I actually started drawing. I want to say probably around the same time as Rachel, like middle school, like early middle school kind of thing. Because I remember I was just sitting at the TV and I was like flipping through channels because at the time like we actually had TV and I watched TV. But I came across this show. I was like, what is this? And it was Dragon Ball Z. And it was like Dragon Ball Z Kai, and it was like most people, I was like, oh, what is this? This is so weird. It's cool. and like anime was kind of like the thing that got me into drawing. Like most people around our age, it typically tends to be like a popular thing.
Yeah.
So I just like drew like the Dragon Ball Z characters all the time, and then stuff like that. And I was already like kind of into drawing then, but I wouldn't have considered it something like I did. You know what I mean? It was just like I do it every now and then. Although like I can't remember the first. I think one of the first drawings I ever did was when I was like probably 8. I drew Accelerate from Ben 10, and I showed my parents. They're like, "Oh, this is so cool!" I'm just like, "Yeah." But yeah, probably just like cartoons and just like different anime and stuff is really what got me to like get into it more.
Gotcha.
You know, and then anime girls, and it's like, oh wow, it just took off after that.
That makes sense. Honestly, the anime girls, yeah, it makes sense. Especially with yeah. Holy shit.
If you can find Twitter, I'll be very impressed.
You know what? If someone can find his Twitter, I'll give you a virtual high five through an email. That's my promise to you. I'll give you a virtual high five.
I have 0 followers right now because I made it like a week ago.
Smart. Well, so obviously, Rachel, you kind of talked about how you develop your art style, and you've kind of talked about it on your channel. But could you go over that a little bit here, a little bit more in depth, and then Noah, the same for you. Like, if you've had an art style, like, can you go into that and how you developed it?
Well, when like I first started art and I was like picking and choosing things from all those different art styles that I was obsessed over at the time, I just like, if you compare those images to like what it is now, it was like the heads were like way bigger. They were like more rectangle. The eyes were more like anime eyes kind of, and like the body was like tiny. And then like over time as an artist, you kind of just like subconsciously change your art style and it like grows. Sometimes it is conscious, but like you just like change things and it like gets better and better. But at the time it was basically just me finding things that I liked from all these different art styles and then like changing it over time to what it is now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I agree. It's like it's very much like kind of like an overtime sort of process. I think that's something that a lot of people who like start drawing like really worry about. They're like, oh, I gotta find my art style. It's like the thing is like that kind of thing is really just gonna come naturally, and if you try to force it too much, you're not gonna be focusing on the right things. I agree. It's just a lot of like looking at artists being like, oh, I like the way they draw this nose, so I'm gonna start drawing like noses kind of similar, or I like the way they draw this eyes. So at the beginning it was definitely I was just drawing like anime just because I was like it was cool. It was the only thing I knew how to draw. But over time I kind of like wanted to move like away from that. Because for a bit I thought like, oh, I have to draw like hyper realistically to be like a good artist, you know what I mean? And there was a bit like definitely in high school where I was like struggling with like oh, I like drawing like kind of more like cartoony, but like it's not like in my mind it's not like good because it's not like realistic. But then I think like somewhere along there like I stopped worrying about that and I just kind of started just doing it how I wanted more and started enjoying it a lot more. And so now I'd say like it's just definitely still lies like more cartoony, but like the style is not just like straight up anime like it would have been back in like middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like another thing is that like a lot of people will be like, there's usually like two sides. There's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna draw anime because it's what I like to draw, whatever, like fuck it. And then there's the other side that goes like, no, you can't draw anime. You can't just draw anime. That's bad. It's like I don't think either of them are necessarily right. I mean, if you're just drawing just because, you draw whatever you want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're actively like trying to improve and get better, there's nothing wrong with like starting to draw anime or like that's how you started to draw. But I can't remember where I heard this quote, but it was really good. It's like anime is like a stylization. The stylization is like breaking the rules of like the set rules of like how something should look, like the physical anatomy of it and everything. It tends to like push those proportions. And the thing is, you need to like know those basic rules before you start to break them. And so like if you go into it and all you know how to do is like make those stylized proportions, that's great, but it's gonna be a lot stronger if you know like what they usually look like first.
Yeah, like the big butts, the big boobs, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So, is giving it time like your guys' best like advice for someone who's trying to develop their own style, or is there something else that you guys would kind of like give as advice for someone trying to develop their own style?
It's kind of like what Noah was saying, where I think a lot of people worry so much in the beginning of like, oh, I gotta find my art style and like stick with it and be consistent with it because like consistency as an artist is something that's really important, and like people really kind of like fret over trying to find their art style right away. But like he was saying, it's like it takes time to develop your art style, and it's never like really finished, to be honest, because like I could say this is my art style right now, but over time it's going to change even more, and I don't even know it yet. But I think for like the basic consensus of like how to find your art style, is to just like find what you like to draw and what you think looks good, and then test it out and just like practice it over and over and over, and it's going to change over time. So it's like time and just like seeing what you like to do. So
Okay.
I think for the most part isn't like basically true, like you said, Andy. It's just like it is a lot of time. Like it's not really something that you can force that bad. But I think there are ways and like practices you can do to kind of speed up the process. Like not like incredibly quickly. It's not like you're gonna like have it figured out in like a week from like doing it. But I think that like if you want to, you can definitely sit down and just like, I know like there's like that art style challenge where you draw like a bunch of different art styles, like the same thing, and like those. I think those could probably be helpful to like find out like what you like and what you don't like. And also it's like that just also comes down to like practicing, and like practice makes perfect, but like perfect practice is like better, you know what I mean? So it's like you don't just want to, if you're like practicing drawing like an eye or a hand, you don't just want to draw like the same eye and the same hand over and over and over again. Like you can, but it's going to be a lot more helpful to draw that from like different angles, or like try it out from like different perspectives, like that same thing. Like, but it's you want to make sure you're practicing effectively and like accurately. Um, that's kind of a big thing. Always draw from reference. Always draw from reference. It is so important. Always draw from reference. People have this thing, because I know I used to think that all the time. It's like when you first start drawing, it's like, no, I can't look at a picture. That's cheating. That's like I need to. It all needs to come from my brain. And some people can, like some really talented people or people who have worked really really hard can do that. But most of the time, when people can do that, it's because they drew from reference so much that they already have it like ingrained in their mind. You know what I mean? And like so many like starting artists are just like, no, I'm not gonna draw from reference. That's cheating. But your art would look so much better if it literally takes 5 seconds to Google like back anatomy or like arm anatomy, and like at least try to like piece it together and figure it out, or even take pictures of yourself. That's what I do a lot, is like you just take pictures of like your own hand to get the perspective right. You'll kind of sit there and go, oh, this is so much easier, instead of sitting there for 3 hours trying to get it right when you could have just used a reference.
Especially if you're doing realism or like semi-realism, it's like almost mandatory.
Exactly. Use reference. Always use reference.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do that.
So when you take your hand pics, do you then like after you're done with them, do you like sell them to people? That's my next question.
Noah's OnlyFans.
No, my hands aren't pretty enough to do that.
It was just a question, you know. Once you said you did that, I had to ask, right? gotta if there's an OnlyFans out there that Noah has, I don't know about it, but maybe he's selling his hand pics. I don't know.
Maybe one day, but not today.
Just not up to the hand modeling standards yet. I got you. So when it comes to the art styles and stuff, obviously you guys have your preferred art styles, but is there like one art style that you just like dread drawing or like dread making art of, or you feel like is just your weakest and definitely needs work? Is there something like that for you guys, and how do you guys go about improving that?
Me, I like mostly draw people. That's like kind of my thing. I don't really draw a lot of like landscapes or animals, but I think if I had to pick one weak point, it would probably be creatures of some sort or animals, because one, they're kind of hard to transfer to my art style because it's fairly cartoony, and two, it's like not something I do very much. But if I'm going to do it, I like need a reference for animals. Like it's just like so hard for me. It's not something I'm great at, so I always try to find a reference if I'm going to do animals.
Gotcha.
And it's probably like more like hyper realism kind of stuff. Like I dread doing that stuff. I think it's so boring. Not that I think that like people who do it are boring, but it's more just like I really don't enjoy doing it, just because everything like always something will always look a little bit off in my head, and I just like don't want to sit there forever and like do it, because I'm like, I don't even want to do this right now. It's mostly like for like assignments, like in high school. There was a lot of like my art teacher she was really good, but it was a lot of like she kind of had the mindset of like if it's not like realistic, it's not very like good sometimes. And so like I did learn how to do it like a little like fairly well, you know what I mean? But it's still like not my favorite thing to do, whether that be like either like people's faces or like landscapes, you know, like it's just hyperrealism really gets me, and I think people who can do it, I think that's really cool.
Here's some practice. Take a picture of me in my room like this and just draw it perfectly. There you go. Right?
Yeah.
No, but I definitely get that. Like, especially if it feels off and it looks off, I know in my mind I would want to. Where did he go?
Wrong button.
No, I think my colleague.
Oh.
It's all good. But yeah, so like in my mind, if I see something off, I definitely want to make it look right and make it look better. It's the same thing with like what I've been doing with like my yard. If something looks off, it like bothers me to no end to try and fix it. And so no, I totally get that with art and trying to get that done. I wouldn't want to ever get in my own head about like something looking wrong, like even slightly, because it drive me insane.
You can also like when it comes to drawing realistically too, is like you don't have to make it like an exact copy if you're drawing from a photo. Like if you find that like moving like a piece of fabric over or like moving like a piece of hair over is gonna like make it look better or like make the image stronger. It's like that's something that people like don't do sometimes. They're like, oh, I have to draw like exactly from the photograph, but like taking out like those like small like artistic liberties like actually can like really help sometimes.
I think some people, when they're like doing like portraiture or like self-portraiture especially, they like will draw it upside down because it refrains. Yeah, it stops them from like changing things about the image that they like.
Subconsciously are like choosing.
Yeah, especially if they're drawing themselves, they're gonna like pick apart themselves and like what they would have wanted changed about themselves. So drawing it upside down. I've never done it, but I've heard that it's a thing that people do. So.
How does that work? Wait, do you wait?
Well,
So
like,
when you do the reference photo, do you also have the reference photo upside down too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more like you're it's to avoid like just drawing like a person. So like a lot of people will like freehand and like sketch people like all the time in their free time, especially if they already draw people. But when you do it upside down, it like it turns it just into like a random image instead of like a person. Like you don't see it as a person as
Okay.
much. And so because of that, you can more accurately like try to display like what's like actually on the paper.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my dumbass, thought you had the picture in the right way, and then you had the drawing upside down.
No.
And I was just like,
That
how
would be
does?
so hard.
I don't know why I thought that, but I was
we
just like,
should
that's
try that
impossible.
sometime.
That just
My
seems
God.
impossible.
I think we should try it sometime.
I would go insane.
Yeah, good luck with that if you ever actually do try that, Noah. Because
Sounds great.
it sounds awful. Because I was lost in my own head, so I don't know how you're gonna do that. Okay, but that makes sense. Yeah. Especially with self portraits, I know if I was to draw that, you can't really tell, but you know your boy's got a little bit of a unibrow. Definitely get rid of that, and there's definitely things that I would be like, fix this. But, but yeah, no, I totally get that, and it actually makes a lot more sense to do it upside down. But why can't you just turn it 90 degrees, or do you still see the face?
It's like you could, but I think upside down is just the best way to like get that sort of impression that it's a completely different image. It's kind of similar to have you ever heard of like gridding?
Yeah.
So
No.
what some people would do if they have like a small image on a screen or they just want to make an image bigger is they'll take the image and they'll print it out and they'll put like grid on it. So like they'll make like a 3x4 grid over the image, and then they'll get a bigger piece of paper and make a bigger 3x4 grid on it. And now instead of having to tackle the entire image, you can tackle each of those like squares individually as their own image, and it gives you a way to make the image bigger, but like also really accurately. Some people consider it like kind of cheating. I don't really think so. I mean, you're just breaking it up into like kind of like 12 smaller images. It's like kind of an easier way of doing things, but like honestly, if it's improving your workflow, like go for it. But it's very similar to that, where it's like you were just breaking down the image into like smaller, like more manageable images. Because of that, like you can get it draw more accurately.
Okay, I didn't know that's what that was called. Once you explained
it
it,
has like an actual name, but I think we always just called it gridding like in high school, so I don't know what
Yeah.
it's actually called.
Yeah, once you explained it, like it made sense. Because one of my exes did art, and she like used to do that exact thing. So I used to
Yeah.
see her art like that, and I'm like,
It's really
oh,
fun.
okay,
Like if you actually ever try it, it's actually really satisfying.
okay, yeah. I didn't know that's what that was called. I was just like, art, cool.
Art.
As you can probably tell by this point, I'm very uneducated at this stuff, so I figured might as well learn from these two, just a little bit. And hopefully, if you're still watching this at this point, you're learning something too. So, um, anything else about like the weakest art style stuff that you want to go over?
Really?
Trying to think. Probably just like not really like to sort of help develop it, I guess, is like keep your old drawings, even like because like as you're trying to develop, especially if you're in the mindset where you're trying to like improve, like not even just art style, but just in general, like
Mm-hmm.
being able to look back at what you did like 3 months, 6 months, like a year ago is like it can be a really big confidence booster sometimes. Because you'll look at an image, you'll draw a drawing, and you'll be like, oh wow, I actually kind of like this, and you'll look maybe like a month later, and you'll be like, oh god, like what is this? This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Because I know I had a bad habit of just like I threw out a lot of my old artwork just because I didn't want it. I was like, whatever, I don't care. I've drawn it. I don't need it anymore. But like being able to look back on that kind of thing is really really important. And that goes to like things that like aren't even just like art related. Like anything that you can save. Like if you're like a video editor or like an animator or anything like that. Like keeping old work can really help you improve as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think carrying a sketchbook is really smart because you can like look back at all your sketchbooks and like it's all like nicely put together instead of having a bunch of like paper everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I have like 3 sketchbooks that are filled, and I just like look back every once in a while and see how bad
My
it
problem
is.
with sketchbooks was always like I draw like really heavy with like graphite, and so whenever I put them away, there's always like I open it up and it's just all
Oh,
like all smeared everywhere.
yeah,
That was always my problem with them. But like I mean I still have them, but it's just
yeah.
that's what I always had.
Yeah.
Or if you're
Well.
like a painter or something, then it doesn't really work. So
Yeah, you just got stacks of canvases.
At that point, you need like a U-Haul storage facility thing.
A lot of painters actually, especially if they work with I want to say like more like oil paints. A lot of them will actually have their own ventilated studios because it's kind of dangerous to do that like in your home. Look up if you're
Nah.
getting into painting. Look up what your paints are and the precautions you need to take so you don't die.
Don't die.
Yeah, it's really important.
Actually, funny story. I was messaging someone the other day, and they were just like, dude, I feel like death." And I gave them a really long explanation why dying was bad. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick. It was actually a phenomenal explanation. I don't know if it's saved though.
That's the most Andy thing I've ever heard.
Dying bad.
Did I actually save it? It didn't save, unfortunate. But it was basically like dying is bad. Bad is not good.
Don't do bad.
Don't do not good stuff. So therefore dying is not good.
Nice.
So don't die. And it was just like a really stupid explanation. But yeah, don't as to what they said. Just be careful with what you're doing. So yeah, moving on from that, so when you guys are making your art and you guys are creating whatever you want to create, is there a specific way that you prefer to do it? Do you prefer to do digital art? Do you prefer to hand draw with like colored pencils, markers, stuff like that? Is there a specific way that you prefer to do it? And not just for like, say Rachel's YouTube channel or something like, because I know you do both pretty much. But is there one way that you guys like prefer it?
I used to prefer like Copic markers a lot more than like digital artwork, and like because I just found it a lot more immersive, the whole experience of like actually like feeling the paper and like using markers and stuff. And at the time it was easier, but now that I've started like making my card game and my artworks digital, and like I've started to like really get in the flow of using Photoshop, I almost find Photoshop easier now because one, the lines just are smoother because of the smoothing tool, so that's like nice. And things like highlights and like getting correct images, and like there's certain effects that you can pull off with Photoshop that is either really hard or like not possible using markers. So I would, at this point, I almost like digital art more because I think I can do more with it, and like I can get colors that I don't have in Copic markers, and I don't have to spend money on ink. So
It's a
yeah.
good point.
Yeah,
Copic
it's
markers are
expensive.
So expensive.
So bad. Oh my god.
I'd have to agree. Most of the time, I like my favorite way to draw is just like pencil and paper, though, just like traditionally. But typically, that ends up being really sketchy. And so what I'll do is, a lot of times I'll like plan it out on paper a few times, and then I'll take a picture of that paper or a scanner or whatever, and then I'll throw that into Photoshop as like a base layer, and I'll work off of that. Um, I definitely do agree though. It's just like when you first start like Photoshop or like any other like digital application, it's a little bit overwhelming and it can be kind of like slower because you don't understand everything. But like once you get into that flow of it, it becomes so much faster, like so much faster.
Yeah.
Um, that also comes with the fact that like with not particularly markers, but like other media like paint, is like you have to wait for that to dry. You know what I mean? Whereas like Photoshop is just like you could probably honestly like once you get efficient at Photoshop, you can probably work at least twice as fast, probably like 4 times as fast if like you get really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just a lot more efficient. However, like it is always fun to go back and like work traditionally. I think that's an important skill to always have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's definitely something like you guys are moving a little bit more towards the digital stuff. And I, as someone who's like just looked at people's Photoshop things, I haven't even tried to do it. I've like watched Rachel like stream it on Discord. I've watched Kaiser stream it on Discord. I've seen, I think Noah streamed it on Discord as well. And watching Noah's was a bit more awkward, but
Hey, there was a warning.
that's fair. His name in Discord has been not safe for work stream for a while. So in fairness, there is a warning, and it is his name. So, but yeah, so it's just looking at it, I can definitely like you guys are like so smooth with it, and you guys like know what you're doing. But when I like actually see the menus of all the stuff that you guys are doing, I like it goes back to Noah's point of like being overwhelming for a beginner. I'm just like I have no idea where I would start. I would just like left click a million times on the thing just to see if anything would happen. I think I did that once. Nothing happened. So
It's a lot of tutorials.
Like-
YouTube tutorials.
Like honestly speaking, unless you're like, I'm sure you would use a lot more of it if you were like in like a professional industry and like
Yeah.
surrounded by a bunch of other people and you know how to use it. But like for like everyday use or just like using it for just like drawing pictures and everything, you're not gonna use like 90% of the tools in Photoshop because Photoshop is at the end of the day it is first made to like edit photos. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not. It's not made for drawing specifically. So like a lot of the stuff that you see in Photoshop, like you could literally like, get rid of and you wouldn't even
Yeah.
like notice. And like learning the different techniques is like Rachel said, you like look up tutorials or you just I like I used to like look up like artists that I like if they had a YouTube channel and like their speed paints and I just slow it down to like what are they selecting, what are they doing, like what is happening here and here. I would say most important tool though is like probably the selection tool, like
Yeah.
either the marquee or like the magic wand or whatever. It's like selection tool. Learn how to use that because that is insane if you can like use it properly for like shading, like hard lights and soft lights. It's like it's kind of nuts.
I would go insane without the selection tool.
Yeah, I would die. It's terrible.
see, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
So
But
it's like the selection tool is like so you would select. It's kind of like a brush, except you would like let's say you made a loop on your image.
mhm.
And then now, whenever you paint or whenever you erase or do anything, it's only going to be confined to that selection. And so if you need like a shadow with a really hard side but a really soft side, but it doesn't have like a line next to it, you can like make that selection and then take an airbrush and do it on like the edge of that selection. And so on the edge, you'll have that really hard line where like the selection stopped, but
Yeah.
then it'll be like soft on the other side.
See, that makes
This is very
sense.
helpful.
That like in my mind makes sense. So yeah, I got you. Okay, that's helpful. I was just gonna look it up honestly. Afterwards, I was gonna be like, selection tool in Photoshop.
There's so many ways to use it too. Like that's not even close to like the only way. It's insane what some people have thought of like how to use different tools in Photoshop.
Yeah, and and that kind of goes down to tutorials for then you guys learning it, or unless you're a genius, you just learn it yourself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just play around with it. Because I know Noah, you probably haven't looked at a YouTube tutorial in like 20 years, just because you're just so smart.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think
He looks
right
so confused.
right now I'm like kind of taking a, as you guys know, I'm kind of taking a break a little bit from
Yeah.
drawing. But I still do it every now and then. But back when I like was doing it like all the time, I would literally be like, I'd be like, all right, time to take a break from drawing. I'd go to eat, and I'd be like watching YouTube tutorials on it, like as I'm eating. Yeah, but there's just so much information out there nowadays. It's insane. There's so much helpful information.
Gotcha. Okay, so now that we've talked about how you guys like to make your art, has there been like an individual that's or just like a type of, is there like an artist that got you into, like, that kind of inspired you to do art, or is there just kind of just like you just got into it because you got into it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like there's artists that followed me like when I first had that Minecraft fan account. Are probably like the main inspiration that like got me started with all of it. But like now I don't even necessarily watch that much art content on YouTube and stuff like that. I think I used to probably like a year ago watch a lot of like Draw with Jaza and then like all of those animation channels like Jaden Animations, Odd Ones Out, all those guys that like tell stories with their cartoon characters and stuff. Um, I watch them a lot, and like sometimes they do like speed arts on their channel also. So that was mainly it. But like at this point, I don't watch that much art content, and I kind of just scroll through artists on Instagram, and just like look at their art for the most part.
What about Pinterest? You seem to talk about Pinterest a lot on your
I love
channel.
I love Pinterest so much.
I forgot about Pinterest. Yeah. Oh my god. Pinterest is the fucking plug when you're trying to like come up with a character design or something, or like
I need like any pose reference or
It's
any
so
tutorial how
good.
to do literally anything.
yeah.
There's so much stuff on Pinterest. Although it kind of sucks though, because I know that a lot of times art goes like uncredited on Pinterest a lot just because it's getting
Yeah.
repinned so much.
Yeah.
But
That's the one downside, but
yeah,
it's like
it does have a lot.
yeah. I probably use that more than Instagram. I kind of forgot about that. But like if I'm just trying to come up with a character design or something, I just scroll through Pinterest for like a while and then come up with like different things from each image that I like and throw it together.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
No, is that kind of the same for you, or is there something like, is there like one person that's been really influential for you?
I'd say there have been like a few. I'd say in terms of like my attitude towards it, probably he's super popular, but Ross Tran or like Ross Draws, he does a lot of he has a YouTube channel, he does a lot of stuff like that. His like I remember like seeing his art and it's like very like he graduated from a very like kind of like top like art school kind of thing, and he has really good like traditional like fine art skills, you know what I mean? But like he'll take those fine art skills and make like he'll draw like Powerpuff Girls as like superheroes, or not as like modern like high tech superheroes or something, or like he'll like draw like Lilo and Stitch, but it'll be some like beautiful. It'll look like a beautiful painting. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
in his videos, he has this energy about him that just like shows it like he's having fun like every step of the way. And like subconsciously like that's like kind of what I want to do is not necessarily like his style of like being like that fine art, but like just the fact that like he's doing this and he's doing it his way and he's having a lot of fun doing it. And I think that was like kind of like what got me out of my funk sort of in high school a little bit is like I was like, oh, I gotta be good, I've got to do this, I've got to do this the right way, blah blah blah. And it's true, you do have to like learn those like right ways, but it's like you got also he's like you gotta have like fun doing it.
Yeah.
And obviously like nothing's gonna be fun 100% of the time. There are gonna be times where it's like not fun. It's gonna be times where like you're struggling, you don't want to do it. But it's like at the end of the day, as long as like the art you're making is like you're enjoying it, you know, it's
Yeah.
like that was like the big takeaway I took from him. As for like currently, like I get a lot of my inspiration from, at least from like regular drawings that I want to do, from like a lot of like really good cool video games that I'm playing, like
Okay.
Octopath Traveler or Bravely Default. They have like I think his name's like Akihiko Yoshida. Like, I looked it up like before this, but he has this sort of, it's obviously a very kind of like anime inspired, but it's more like kind of traditional watercolor. And like I think that that's like super cool and something I want to like try. But that's probably who I look up to like right now is like those kind of like Eastern sort of like they're like anime drawings, but kind of like with a European feel to them. It's really weird, but that's probably what I look to now.
All right. Nice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, my art inspiration has always been non-existent because I suck at art. Honestly, it's probably you guys, to be honest. Like every single time I
Honestly,
see something,
So
every single time I see you guys post something like really cool, you guys do like a thumbnail for like dude mode. You guys make a whole lot of other stuff, and you guys just post art in the Discord. It's just like, holy shit, I can't do that.
but the thing is, like, you probably could. Is like, I think something that some people like mix up is that art is they think of like artistic skills like it's like, oh, it's like all talent, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like, oh, some people are just better at it than others. And like while like at the very beginning, like it's very true, I think. Like some people are gonna be like a little bit more inept at it than others. It's very much like a muscle. You know what I mean? It's like it's something that you just like practice and it's a skill that you can get good at. It's like no matter how hard I try, like I'm not if I'm playing like basketball, no matter how hard I try, I'm not gonna grow to 6 feet one day just because I want to. You know what I mean? But and I strongly believe that in terms of drawing, like if you want to get really good at it, you can. It's just a matter of like practicing efficiently and like practicing often.
Well, yeah, that kind of goes into my next question really easily. Like, if can someone who's quote unquote bad at art get good at art? And so
100%.
that kind of you kind of answered my question, and that was kind of like an opinion piece that I wanted to ask both of you. It's just like, for me, for example, because my art is collectively stick figures, and you guys have definitely seen that within all of like the Scribblio that we've done, and you can even see the Scribblio video that we have on the Dude Mode channel. My art is very much so stick figures, and so can someone like me get to the point where you guys are? How realistic is that, and how much work would I have to do to get there?
I think
Oh,
like anyone. Oh, we're good.
oh yeah, yeah. You like
Okay.
you just like weren't coming through. I was like, wait, something's broken.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
I think anyone can like become a good artist. It's like how much time and effort do you want to put into it? Because like everyone's on a different timeline on
Mhm.
like their art journey or like and in general. So it's going to be like how much effort you want to put into it, like what kind of videos are you watching, what are you looking at on media and stuff just to get inspiration and ideas and stuff like that. And then like how much time and practice are you going to put into it. So everyone's on a different timeline and like people are going to take a different amount of time to get good, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I think at some point you'll get to that point where you're happy with your art just from putting in the effort and time.
I disagree. You'll never be happy. You'll always think your art's trash. At least, that's the thought process. You'll always be your own worst critic, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're sitting here, you're telling Rachel and I like, oh, you really like our art, and Rachel and I are probably sitting here going, oh, I hate that one. Like thinking about the most recent one, going like, oh, I don't like that one.
Yeah.
And that's not like an artist specific thing. That's like any like creative field. You're always gonna be highly critical of like the stuff that you make. But
Mhm.
answer your question to like 100%. I think anybody can get good at art. Now, like if anyone can be a like professional like concept artist or like a professional like designer for that kind of thing, that's kind of a little bit of a different story, a different question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that not only has to do with your artistic skills, but like as well as your social skills and like your connections and stuff like that. Not saying that it's impossible, but that's a little bit of like a harder question. But if your question is just straight up, can anyone get good at drawing, or like their definition of good, like it does depend on your definition of good. Like, do you want to be the kind of person that just can draw fairly well and like is happy with what they're doing, or do you want to be the kind of person that is making like professional designs for like a multi-billion-dollar company? I mean, it's like it's gonna be it's very specific on like your goals, but like no, definitely like anybody can really get good at it. And in terms of like you, Andy, like let's say you like wanted to get better at drawing, you'd want to figure out like what do you want to draw in the first place, like what do you want to get good at drawing, and then like you'd put your focuses on there. Um, it's also just it's a matter of like practice, like Rachel said, because I know a lot. It's like I know very few artists that like actually practice enough. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I know like for one, I don't practice enough. Like I literally like I there will be times where like I don't pick up a pencil for maybe like a month because it's like not something that like it's not like my livelihood. You know what I mean? So it's not
Yeah.
it's more just like a hobby for me. But I know some people that told me that it's like yeah, it's weird if I'm like if I don't draw in a day. You know what I mean? And it's like oftentimes you'll find those are the people that are like you consider to be like the most talented or like the best. You know what I mean? But it's
Mhm.
really just because they're constantly putting in the work. They're constantly like doing that. Um, And
Yeah.
if you're just someone who wants to get better at drawing just for yourself or just as a hobby, you know what I mean? It's really just, take maybe an hour every day or two, grind out what you can, figure out what's wrong. Getting critique, good critique. Like all critique is valuable, but
Mhm.
getting like good critique from like accomplished artists is really good.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And that kind of goes into you guys are perfectly putting me into my next questions constantly. I appreciate that because you guys don't have the program in front of you. It's just in front of me, and so it kind of comes down to what are your guys' goals with your artwork? And I want to hear like what you guys are thinking about like with your future with art. Obviously, I know Noah is. You've kind of said it already that you're taking a little bit of a break and you're a little bit on a little bit of a hiatus. But is that something that you want to like keep grinding out eventually, or like just or do you want to like just do it in your free time and just gradually get better? Like, what are your goals?
At since I'm working on Heroic so much, my card game, I still want to like develop my characters and get better at those, because that's like the main thing that I draw for Heroic. I also want to bring up like my animals, as I was talking about. That's probably like one of my biggest weaknesses, but it's another like really good thing to bring into card games is creatures. So hopefully I can work on that, especially doing that digitally. And then I think like one of my goals farther down the line is to like bring my artwork into like an animation. It's like one of my like farther down goals is like to really learn how to do animation and like try to transfer my art style to animation. So that's like a farther down the line goal. So
I would say that my previous goals were like obviously I was going to school to be a concept artist for like video games and different media. And then I'm no longer doing that. But that's because I think after the first year I realized like I knew it was gonna be a lot of work, but like it was really put into perspective for me like how much work it was gonna take, and I realized that like the path that I was like at least going down, I didn't foresee it being like as enjoyable as I wanted it to be. So now I'm obviously pursuing different things right now, but I think at the time being like I guess my goals besides that haven't really changed. Like I really enjoy seeing, like I've always wanted to be able to make those sort of like I guess like pictures that really sort of like have that sort of feeling to them. Like you're looking at, you go like, wow, it's making me like feel something a little bit. That sounds so like over dramatic, like oh feelings, but it's like, but no, it's more just like kind of like relaxing, like professional, like fine portraits. I think are really interesting and like really neat, but it's something that I've like never really been able to like get close to. So that's something like Rachel said, sort of similar to an animation thing, like way down the line, I might want to like try out. Um, right now, in terms of drawing, I think I'm just really focusing on drawing either like friends, just for like fun, or like I think we drew like memes for like a League of Legends team or something the other day, um, or the other stuff that I post online that is there, and maybe I shouldn't talk about it as much. I don't know if I can say what it is.
Yeah, at this point I don't really. I also really don't care, so you can just say it. We've been like dancing around this entire time.
I draw hentai on the internet,
And it's out. There it is.
and if you would like to commission me, you definitely can.
I'm ready for Noah's future employer to watch this and just be like,
Okay, like okay. So the reason that's weird is because I'm currently going to school to be a math teacher, and it'd be real weird to be a math teacher and draw hentai. However, if I could somehow do both, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you just have your online presence be completely different from your real life presence, and you're fine, right?
We always joked about like me just like if I became a math teacher, I'm just at school, and then the kid comes up, "Hey, Mr. Robertson, I found," and he's like, "No, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up." Yes, I found this picture. Why does Tracer? Shut up! Stop talking.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
But also really funny. So yeah, I think those are good goals for art, and I think those are. I think for Rachel, especially with the animation stuff, that's reasonable. I don't know what to talk about the hentai stuff. I'm just gonna let that kind of sit there. I'm gonna
It's
let
kind of
that.
a side thing.
I'm gonna
We'll
let
see
that
where it goes.
stew. Yeah. But yeah, no, those are good goals. And now I got some specific questions for Rachel. So Rachel, aka Scribbles with Rachel, has her own art YouTube channel. Recently, like a couple months ago, hit 10K subs. I don't know the exact number right now because I don't have it pulled up, but probably should have done that beforehand. This is still a growing channel, and so like the first question I have is like, what got you into even like making an art channel? Like, what was your thought process behind that, and why did you do? Because obviously you're doing quite well for everyone in comparison to all of our other friends with like YouTube channels and stuff. So, like, what got you to that point?
Well, like before I had my art channel, I had it like probably like 2 other channels before that at some point, and they eventually got deleted. So don't look for them. But
RK Cactus Minecraft, everyone. RK Cactus Minecraft. Let's go.
Ooh. But like at the time when I was making content for those channels, I just really liked the idea of, well, one, I liked the content creation process. I think it was a ton of fun, and I liked video editing and stuff like that. But I really liked seeing people's reactions to my content and like interacting with the community and just kind of inspiring or making people happy was something that I really enjoyed. And then after I ended up deleting those channels, I probably had like 2 years of like no channels. I didn't have anything. And then that was probably those years where like I was really focusing on my art. And then I was in Chicago for some reason. I don't remember what it was. I think we were on like a family trip. And we were at a dinner, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to start an art channel again. And she's like, oh, okay. And then I just did it. And then I just started it, and I've been doing it for like 4 years now. And yeah, that's basically how I got started on my art channel. I was like, you know what? Let's just full send it. I've always liked making content. Might as well make content about something that I like doing, you know?
Yeah. And so one of your biggest videos, and you've talked about it already here, and one of the things that you're always getting questions about is, all right, when is Heroic Series 2 coming out, right?
Yeah.
When is this coming out? And which is her trading card game. So if for anyone who's unaware of that, Heroic is her own made trading card game that she makes the cards for. She does everything for, except for obviously printing out and distributing. That's a little bit too big for one person, especially at the age that she is, with the funds that she most likely doesn't have. So it makes sense, right, that she's not doing that, but for the most part it is pretty much all in her control. So like, what got you to the point of just like, I'm making a trading card game, like fuck this shit, I'm making it? Like what was your thought process there?
I think I probably started Heroic like a little bit after I started my channel. And at the time I was probably watching a lot of homemade trading card game videos on YouTube. I don't even know how I like stumbled upon them. They just got recommended or something. And I was like, this looks kind of cool. Let me try it. So I started that partly because of those videos, and I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic and all those card games. They're like really big brands. So I just took inspiration from all those different sources, and I was like, let me take a swing at this. And I did it. And for a long time, I was really hesitant to post it on YouTube because I was really scared of getting my ideas stolen because nothing was copywritten at the time. So I was like, that's probably a bad idea, right? And then like 2 years later, I did it. Yeah, I don't know why, but I did it. And that was like my second video that like ever like really popped off. And then that's kind of where most of my audience comes from, is my card game stuff. So yeah, now it's kind of like finding the fine line between like card game content and art content. So
gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. And right before you start, I specifically remember like right before you started like really working on set 2. It's set 2, right? Not series 2, because I think I said series 2 earlier. Set 2, so set 2, like right before you started working on it, you're just like, I just keep getting these comments in my YouTube channel of like, when set 2 coming out, when set 2 coming out. I'm like, in my mind, I was just like, just do it. just stop bringing it up and just do it. Just start working on it. And so obviously you're working on it now, and it's been a lot of your live streams on YouTube, and that's been a lot of your a decent amount of your content on YouTube recently. Obviously not this past week because that was something else, but yeah, it was. You've definitely been putting in the time, definitely been putting in the work. I think the final question just for you is, well, what is your favorite type of video to make? Like, is it like the sketchbook videos where you like walk everything through it? Is it like the art challenge videos? Is it the prompt videos? Or is it just like what is your favorite type of video to make?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I really enjoy making like all of the art content videos more than my card game videos, which is like kind of difficult, but like, because more people like the card game stuff for the most part, so it's been like hard to kind of manage that. But I think my favorite like series on my channel is either going to be the 300 prompts series or the redrawing fan art in my art style series. I basically just like doing like character designs and that kind of stuff on my channel, and like speed arts. I think that's my favorite stuff to do. But like recently I've been kind of debating on where I want to go with my channel and how much TCG content I want to post, and like how and like what series I want to continue and stuff. So that's still kind of on my mind, but I think for the most part I like doing the art related content more.
Gotcha. Okay, that kind of concludes what I wanted to like really get into everything about your channel with. If you want to go check it out, it'll be in the description below. I highly recommend going to go check that out. So moving on, it's time for my favorite segment of the podcast. It is the Are You High segment. Okay, I already talked to them about this beforehand, but if you haven't seen an episode yet and you don't know what the Are You High segment is, basically what it is I sit down in this chair. I come up with 4 extremely stupid questions. Like absurd questions, like really dumb. Someone in their normal mind probably wouldn't come up with them, but I'm me. I'm sober, but I'm me, and I come up with these really dumb questions. So, and I want them, my guests on the show, to give me whatever answer they want. It could be as serious as they want. It could be as ridiculous as they want. It can be whatever. But I just want to hear their thought process behind it, and I want them to elaborate on it. So, are you guys ready for the Are You High segment?
I'm scared, but yes.
The first one's a little tamer, all right? The first one's a little tamer. I mainly because I've heard Rachel go on about it a little bit before, and I wanted her to elaborate on it a little bit more.
Oh God.
Are birds real, or are they just a government construct?
See, okay. The thing is, I would love to absolutely say that birds are real, and I'm 90. Like, you can probably for sure find content on in the internet that'll prove that birds are real. But what if the government planted all that information on the internet so that you don't think they're government drones? That's what I'm saying. Like, that would be so smart as a government to literally use birds as government drones, because you get to see everything. So, like, kind of big brain of the government, but also they could also just be birds. So
Birds are real because you can eat them.
do you have experience, Noah?
Birds are real because you can eat them.
Is that it? Just the fact that you can eat them means that they're real?
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
I mean, so just to bounce off of Rachel real quick. So is this just a singular country's conspiracy, or is this like a global government conspiracy with all the birds? Because there's birds everywhere.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. That would be... I feel like each country would have like their exclusive bird, you know? Because then they don't have to like share each other's information with each other, because y'all know that countries' governments don't like to share their information with each other. So they probably all have exclusive brands of government drone birds.
And that's why some birds kill each other, because they're on the wrong territory.
Yeah. See?
Okay.
Mhm.
It's starting to make sense. I'm starting to sense that Noah's starting to get on board with the government drone thing.
Or they're just predators and they're just animals. That's another thing. That could
That's
just be.
that's a fair theory. I think
I feel like it's the more likely one.
I too feel like it's the more likely one as well.
Probably.
But I definitely want to hear Rachel go on about birds being government drones again, because I think it's funny every single time she goes into it. Are you guys ready for question number 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Would it be better to replace your arms with octopus tentacles, or would it be better to replace your legs with octopus tentacles? You get all 8 tentacles, so it's not like you only get 2 tentacles for your arms, for your legs. You get a full 8. Which would be better to replace?
Can you control them the same whether or not they're on your arms or your legs?
Yes.
Probably legs then.
You go.
Multiple thumbs are pretty cool.
See,
Like,
the thing is, I've got them record-holding legs, so I might have to...
No, but you have to assume though, if they're getting replaced, they're probably proportional in strength, and so now you would like quadruple like your strengths because you'd have 8 legs instead of 2.
Ooh, true. I wonder if that would pass in powerlifting rules
You
to
could just
have
say,
tentacles for legs.
you could just say it's like prejudice or something.
That is also a good point. You could say that.
True.
I
Yeah.
feel like legs are the way to go, dude. You keep your opposable thumbs. You're stronger. Now you're probably really good at swimming, I assume. But like, I feel like legs are just kind of the obvious answer.
Yeah. Yeah, if it can pass in powerlifting rules, yes.
Can you
We'll
ink?
go with that. Can you ink?
Can you ink?
Bonus?
I'm
Listen, you
like,
gotta understand, with the line of work that or like quote unquote work that I'm currently in, any octopus tentacles are pretty rad.
that's, you know what? You're bringing up a good point.
Think about how easy it would be to have reference.
Oh my god.
I don't know. You know what? I kind of forgot when we're making these questions about Noah's hentai stuff. So I'm just like, now that it's brought up, yeah, okay. I made a mistake with this question.
Oh yeah. Well, you made a mistake by having me on in the first place. I
Well,
almost forgot. It was 4 a.m. It was 4 a.m. this morning, and I was going to bed. I was like, I feel like there's something I'm supposed to do tomorrow.
I mean, I was up till 3 too, so it's fine.
My god.
Yeah. So you guys would both go legs?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only one who like went arms. I think Chris and I both went arms.
I don't understand why you do arms. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Like,
Well, he and I both talked about multitasking.
okay, but if you can control your arms and your legs the same, you can do the same thing with your legs.
Oh shit, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
And if anything, it'll make you slightly less of a freak of nature because like if you're like sitting behind a table, at least you look normal. You know, there's no way to look normal like. It's just. I don't know.
It's a good point. You know what? Alright, I think you've sold me on the legs. I actually,
Yeah.
you've sold me on the legs. That's, legs is definitely better there.
Legs are always great, even outside of this conversation.
God.
We're talking about my religion now. Maybe we should be careful. Like, so just to clarify, like, you know that little you know how like you've got the area of the leg right below the skirt, but right before the top of the thigh high.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That yeah.
That's your religion?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Anytime anybody asks me if I'm religious, that's what I say. Like, I'm not kidding.
That's all
What
you
does
can
your church
believe in.
look like?
What does my church look like?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's it.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Just pictures of that one part of the thigh right there. Everywhere. Everywhere. Alright, on to the next question because that got into a weird spot.
You got into a great spot.
So you guys know the phrase "a smart cookie," right?
No,
Yeah.
I've never heard of that phrase in
Oh
my
my
entire
God.
life.
Have you? Are you serious?
I think the only time I've ever heard that is maybe you've said it once before, but I thought it was something you made up. There's no way that's real.
It is.
It's a phrase.
He's looking it up.
He's looking it up. The look on his face
my
when
God.
when he went to go look it up.
Okay, continue, but I just want you to know I think this is stupid.
Alright. My question is, what qualities do cookies have that make them so smart? Why are they the smart cookie?
When I think of a smart cookie, I think of a dark chocolate cookie because dark chocolate is sophisticated
Okay.
and for
Yeah.
boring people.
Maybe if we're going down that line, chocolate contains cocoa powder, which is good for you, which maybe makes you smart. It's not scientifically proven, but we're gonna go with that.
I'm looking it up right now.
I feel
Does
like chocolate is good for you, like in small doses.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess when I think of a smart cookie, I think of like or like an innovative cookie, like I mean, it really depends. Technically, it's a wafer, but like Oreos or like other like stuffed cookies are like kind of interesting.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm thinking about these answers way too hard, and it's the first thing that pops in your mind, and like the first thing that pops in my mind is like, how do I make a cookie smart? I know.
how do I make
Dissect
it?
the cookie.
You make it dark chocolate. That's what it is.
Yeah, dark chocolate. I mean, dark chocolate is like is intelligent, and it's also for people who are fucking insane. Remember, it's like, hey Noah, I've gotten 70% cocoa chocolate. Do you want it? I was like, I don't know. I guess it's chocolate. Disgusting.
70% cocoa chocolate tastes like nothing. It's like,
Bitter.
yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to cocoa powder, there are numerous health benefits apparently that include reduced inflammation, better blood flow, lower blood pressure, and improved cholesterol and blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
Yeah!
That doesn't mean to eat like a dozen cookies.
Blood flow to the brain makes you smarter.
I feel like. I honestly feel like with like literally any food or anything, you can always find a bunch of benefits, but then you can always find like a bunch. It's like I remember someone was like, "Hey, do you know like white bread causes cancer?" I'm like, "You know that everything causes cancer?" Have you ever seen an article on anything that didn't say that it causes cancer? Like everything causes cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's just like, or everything's just like, oh, suddenly this is super healthy. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, everything's it's just fine. Just in moderation.
Don't get me started.
It's just a glass of wine a day is healthy. That's all I gotta say. Nope, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
No.
No, but yeah. I definitely agree with you. There's always gonna be like, oh, one day something's bad, then the next day it's good, then the next day it's bad again. So yeah, I know what you mean. But actually, like Rachel's explanation actually makes so much sense. Like both of your explanations actually like are pretty logical, especially
I don't
even
know
the
how to-
even
I
the
don't know how
dark
to give,
chocolate
like-
part.
I'm not good at making those like bullshit. I'm not good at making like responses that like don't make any sense. I'm good at making bullshit responses that's like it is like a kid giving a book report who read like half the book. You know, he's kind of like piecing it together. He's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
That sounds about right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark chocolate's for sophisticated people. I get it. Yeah.
You know, exactly. And then Jim killed Scout and shot the dog or something. Probably how that book ended.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boo Radley. I don't- I'm kidding. I actually did read that book like multiple times for school.
I actually have it behind me right now. I'm planning on reading it again soon because I actually enjoy reading
Not
it.
a bad book.
No, it's a good book. It's definitely a good book. All right. Last question of this segment.
Okay.
We all know about the loud and proud. We all know about the silent but violent. I'm talking about farts here. All right.
I've never heard silent but violent.
All right. Well, silent but deadly. Same thing. Yeah.
One sounds a lot more harsh than the other one.
Are silent farts just gaseous ninjas? Think about it.
I'm more disappointed that you came up with this question, Andy.
It's a good question. It's a good question, okay? I don't know what you're on about. This is a phenomenal question.
I feel like they're almost gaseous assassins instead of ninjas. Because, like, ninjas aren't always stealthy. They can be, but, like, sometimes they're not. But like assassins are meant to be stealthy so that they're not seen. So I feel like it's a gaseous assassin over a ninja.
I feel like whether or not they're ninjas or assassins, they're shitty at their job. Because like, okay, listen, the whole point of like an assassin or a ninja is that like, by the time they kill the person, they didn't even realize. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like a silent but deadly fart. You know as soon as that happens. It's like they walked in the room and went, "Hello," and said, "I am here to kill you," and then they get shot.
It's like an assassin brought like a fucking air horn. And, like...
Yeah, it's like the thing is, it's not gonna work because this is modern day and they have a sword and we have a gun. Like honestly, like it's not gonna work. I don't know.
Might as well call yourself out at that point.
I'm also disappointed in this question.
I'm glad I could disappoint with the question.
I am incredibly disappointed.
I'm really happy I was able to just bring an all-time just end to the segment with just a disappointing question for both of you.
Fantastic.
Oh my god.
With that being said, we're gonna close out this segment. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's always something fun to just listen to all the bullshit that everyone's just able to spew out of their mouths because my questions are really dumb. And clearly disappointing for both of you. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And I hope if anyone's watching, I hope you who's watching, because I know you're watching. I hope you enjoyed. Okay.
This is a podcast. Why are you pointing at them? They're not gonna see.
I hope you're watching. Otherwise, before we close this out, is there any fun projects, anything really big that you guys are working on that you guys want to just shout out real quick, and then we can just close this out?
I think other than my card game, the big thing I'm working on this summer is music. I've got a single coming out at the end of July, and then probably another one in September. Yeah.
If you frequent any subreddits for particular Riot games of the particular variety, look out for the pen name with the initials PR. That is it. I'm not gonna say what it actually is.
Oh god.
Yeah, let's not say that. And obviously, so something that I haven't really shouted out on the podcast really enough has been the group channel. Noah's not in it full time, but he's there to provide help whenever he needs, and whenever we need it. And Rachel is a massive part of that, and I am too. So go check that out. Go check out Dude Mode. Everything will be in the description below. All of our, like, the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, the Twitch, everything will be in the description below. Go check out these two amazing people on any of the socials that they want in the description. I'm going to ask them later. But definitely, Rachel's channel will be down there, and so make sure to go check that out as well. Also, I kind of have an obligation to shout out the team that I'm coaching for, HiveMinds. They're starting up their content team soon and all that stuff. So go check them out. I'll try and get everything in the description below. I don't know how all that's going to work out because I'm not part of the content team and I'm kind of kept out of the loop, but I figured I'd shout it out as well. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please leave a like on the video. It definitely helps with the analytics and all that stuff. If you want to see more podcasts and if you want to see more videos from myself, because there's going to be more than podcasts coming out soon, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and you'll get notifications from whenever a video goes live. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.